Hello everyone, I'm Lam, a lecturer from ULIS VNU. In the previous lecture, we have talked about types of content in teaching culture and other issues relating to cultural materials. In this mini lecture, I would like to show you some examples of using authentic materials for cultural awareness development. As you know, using authentic materials can be rewarding and stimulating for both teachers and students. We can use authentic materials for both higher level students and lower level ones. When people first think of authentic materials, they usually assume that we are talking about newspaper and magazine articles. However, the term can also include such things as songs, web pages, radio and TV, broadcasts, films, leaflets, flyers, posters, indeed anything used unedited in the classroom. We will start first with realia. Realia in English and foreign language terms refers to any real objects we use in the classroom to bring the class to life. In this tip, I would like to offer a few suggestions for activities using realia and to consider why we may want to bring things into the class. Gather some city town maps from the Tourist Information Bureau wherever you are. Use them to create role plays that could happen with English-speaking visitors to their town or city. Give students a scenario for them to build a role play out of it. If you had trouble finding your way around their town or city when you arrived, use your experiences to create situations. Collect brochures of places of interest in English if possible but not vital, and ask students to use them to plan a trip for a group of students who are coming to their town for a week. They can plan the itinerary, work out the budgets, etc. You can use concentration game to help students revise and study vocabulary relating to cultural information. Now you can watch the following video for instructions on how to play this. Instead of using flashcards as in the video you just saw, you can use real objects. Get 3 or 4 envelopes and fill them with bits and bobs to find around the house, such as foreign currencies, shop receipts, postcards, photos, buttons, and etc. Put students into groups and ask them to have a good look at the objects and to decide who they belong to. They should be able to build up the identity of a character from the objects or simply create the characters to use in a role play. Now we move on to one of the most common authentic materials, newspapers. Many aspects of culture that are not usually found in a textbook are present in the newspapers. There is so much cultural interference and language difficulty in newspapers that students get easily discouraged, and teachers' firm guidance in working with this media is essential. Good cultural insights can readily be found in headlines, advertisements, editorials, sport pages, comics, even the weather report. The humor found on the comic pages is especially revealing. Through newspaper teachings, learners are given lots of practice in the language, as well as some instruction in how the newspaper fulfills its social roles of informing, advising, helping, and entertaining. Here are some examples using newspaper in language classroom to increase cultural awareness. Now we have an article about a British royal wedding, as you can see. You can write the headline of this article on the board or just read it out. Ask students to guess what the article might be about. Then have them read the article. Were they right? How different was the real story from what they thought? You can also come up with a list of questions that relate to the article. You can make this as hard or as easy as you like, depending on the language levels of the students. Students can work in pairs to read through the newspaper and come up with the answers. Literature. In a foreign classroom, where direct contact with the target culture is missing, can serve as rich resource of authentic language, showing interaction between culture and language. Literature can offer a broad state-of-the-nation view, but can also give students myriad insights. Suggested levels for which teaching literature is appropriate are from an upper intermediate to advanced learners. But you can use literature for lower level students. In this case, teachers should be aware of the fact that simplified versions of great literary works don't have any elements of literature in them and should be used for linguistic purpose only. The main role of literature teaching is presenting values that underlie the behavior of characters and points of view of the author. Students are not supposed to judge these values, but to understand them as well as to understand the literary works that contain them. Teachers' role in teaching literature depends on understanding these values and presenting them to pupils by selecting a literary work of interest and proficiency appropriate to students, instructing them and including in teaching process. Authentic children's literature provides a rich resource for cultural learning, and it contains cultural information divided by Ellis and Brewster into 8 categories, as you can see here. Poems and plays can also be included in foreign classroom. Both cultural content and meaning can be approached in them. Poems should be read aloud and explained holistically, while teachers task it to attempt to overcome students' prejudice and lead students to consider all sides of an issue. Even though plays might seem easier literature genre to approach, as they contain real speech and characters interacting in the plot, it is still a demanding task for teachers to guide his students to reveal cultural patterns hidden in the work. There are many other authentic materials that you can utilize to increase cultural awareness in language classroom. For example, excellent film strips on culturally related subjects are available commercially, and slides that teachers have collected in their travels can be worked into short, first-hand cultural presentations. However, this is the end of our lesson today. Hopefully, you can find the examples shown in the lessons useful. Thank you for watching.